Hotep, I am the Amen Osiris, the one and only undisputed God of law. And in the current situation, you can email me at 4D underscore destroyer at yahoo.com. That's 4D underscore destroyer at yahoo.com. We are America's only child support education service. I am not a lawyer. This is not a law firm. I don't advocate that you don't support your human offspring. I simply advocate that you made them in private and you take care of them in private. Now, brothers, sisters, kings, queens, gods, and goddesses. All right, let me explain something to you. The website got hacked, and because the website got hacked, that was actually a blessing after we really sat down and looked at what's going on. And I've been hearing from a lot of you, and that's very important. Okay, so we're going to continue on this path. And what I'm going to do is I've read so many emails in the last few days, okay? I've responded to the ones that I could. If I did not respond, I will respond. But this is the very most important thing. The basic email, and I mean the basic email, 98% of the emails I get is where do you start, okay? Gentlemen, if you were in a foreign country, where would be the first place that you would need to start? You would need to start by learning the language, by learning the lingo, all right? By learning the habitat of the people. So I'm going to give you this lesson, and this is called How to Master the 4D Technique, and this is lesson 1. For those of you who do not know, all right, for those of you who do know, for those of you who have failed to apprehend the responsibilities that you have if you want freedom, okay, this is what you missed, and this is what the 4D crime family does not want you to know, okay? So if you want to know how to master the 4D technique, the first thing you have to do is learn the general definitions, okay? You need to know what child support is, what it's not, the words and definitions that describe Title 4D, okay? And incidentally, gentlemen, I don't want anybody out here saying I'm on child support. Number one, you're not on child support. Number two, there is no such thing as child support, okay? You have a title, there's a Title 4D issue against a non-custodial pay rent, and I will show you how to separate yourself from that, put yourself back into human status. But if you can't speak their language, okay, you're going to lose. If you don't know what someone is saying to you, you're going to lose. If you don't know what a 4D contractor, a 4D employer, clerk of the court, contracted judge, 4D agent, it doesn't matter. If you don't know what the words that are coming out of their mouth, you might as well just say, yes, okay, how much do I owe? Okay? See, words and definitions are very important, and I'm going to show you that. All right? I've listened to a lot of the information out here, which is, there's nothing wrong with it. All right, but if you want to know how child support works, the first thing you need to do is break down its language barrier between you and it. Now, lesson 1, 45 CFR, subsection 301.1, general definitions. You can find these general definitions under that statute that I just read you, or you can go to the glossary right here, the glossary of common child support terms, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Administration for Children and Families, Office of Child Support Enforcement. This is very important paragraph right here, folks. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave some things out, and I want to see if any of you can point out the things that I left out. But right here, we're going to give you a lot of terms, and we're going to give you some definitions, and I'm going to show you why. Okay, so we're going to come from the glossary, the preface. The purpose of the glossary of common child support terms, all right, this is not contractual. This is something that is a phrase, all right? We'll get to the word terms when it comes to the contract. It has a synonym, all right, is to provide a listing of acronyms and what? Definition of terms used by child support workers. This is their language, gentlemen. If you don't know the terms that these 4D contractors are using, you're going to get lost. Okay, it is important. The glossary is a valuable reference tool to those who are new to 4D. I don't use this child support word anymore. All right, stop using that word. And what you're going to do is new to 4D. It will serve to break down the barriers of communication with other child support workers. Now, it will serve to break down the barriers of communication. Gentlemen, this is the key to your success right here. Okay? Knowing every word that's in here, and if you don't know every word that's in here, having it handy so you can go back and look up the word and cross-reference the word that you are reading in these 4D void orders is going to help you. Okay? You're speaking their language. I lived in Germany for 5 years. All right, when the first week I got to Germany, I felt illiterate. Why? Because I did not speak the language. I couldn't read the street signs. I couldn't comprehend what anybody was saying, and I felt like a really dummy. But then when I learned how to speak fluent German, it's on, baby. And guess what? It's still on. All right, not to mention the other languages that I speak. Okay, but now that I speak that language, anybody who speaks the same, anybody who's speaking a language that I can interpret, okay, which I know that language, guess what? I know what they're saying, and I won't say anything. And then when I say something like, "Oh, you understood what I said?" Yes, I comprehended it. And then the conversation goes from there. You cannot be child support if you do not know what they're saying. This is lesson number one. So you're going to use these words, all right, to break down the barrier of communication. I don't care if it's with child support workers or the 4D contractor, it does not matter. Okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to take this out. This is child support workers. We're going to put 4D contractors. All right. And 4D contractors, it's agents, employees, and subcontractors. Don't forget, gentlemen, child support is 100% contractual in nature. All right, and we're going to take that out. You got to look at things for what they are. And the reason, okay, I'm able to do this because, oops, I didn't say I couldn't spell right. Hold on. Contract tours. Okay, my bad. All right, so this is the information that you need to communicate with a 4D contractor under a 4D contract, all right, performing under 4D terms, okay? This is the information you need to know when a letter comes to the crib that you happen to be dwelling upon and you open it and answer it, okay? The first thing you need to know, gentlemen, is what child support is and who it applies to and who it does not apply to. Child support only applies to a non-custodial pay rent, and it only applies to what? And it is initiated by a custodial pay rent. And I'm going to show you how the non-custodial pay rent becomes surety, all right, by default. So, number one, you got to look at something also, okay? It will serve to break down the barriers of communication with other 4D contractors, agents, employees, and subcontractors. In addition, the glossary is helpful to both what? Custodial and non-custodial pay rents. Who does child support apply to? Custodial and non-custodial pay rents. If you do not want to be a non-custodial pay rent, this is where you're going to use and go to cease and desist. Okay? Non-custodial pay rents. All right? Number one, so it is used to understand. All right, so number one, look at the word understand, Black's Law's Dictionary. To know. They're expecting you to know this. All right? To apprehend. They're expecting a non-custodial pay rent to apprehend this. The meaning. They're expecting you to know the meaning, not you, the non-custodial person. To appreciate. You should appreciate it because this is where your freedom. As to understand the nature and effect of an act. Right here, gentlemen, by you comprehending what's in the Glossary of Common Child Support Terms, all right, Title 45 CFR 301.1 definitions, then guess what? You will understand the nature and effect of the act. And when you understand it, then you will overstand it because you will be able to fix your mind with a view of careful consideration of shit not to do. So, okay, These words, okay, number one, and incidentally, gentlemen, you never want to understand anything. All right, I get when I deal with these not 40 cases, I don't have a 40 case, but when I deal with personal cases, because no matter where I'm at, they come after. Sir, do you understand? No, I don't understand that, sir. Well, what do you mean? I overstand it. All right, I overstand you, and I overstand what you're saying. Don't stand under anything. If all right, if the foundation of what you're standing under collapse, you could get crushed. Okay, never stand under anything. Okay, you overstand it. Now, moving on. Today, everything that comes out of the glossary of common child support terms, I'm going to teach you. These are words of art. All right, Black's Law's Dictionary. The vocabulary or terminology of a particular art or science, and especially those expressions that are idiomatic or peculiar to it. Okay? Idiomatic, look at the wording here, gentlemen. Relating to or conforming to idiom, peculiar to a particular group, individual, or style. What particular group are we talking about? Federal Office of Child Support. What style are we talking about? The language that they're speaking. Idiom, okay? An expression in the usage of language that is peculiar to itself, either in having a meaning that cannot be derived from the conjoined meanings of its elements. Okay, in other words, it's coming from here, it sticks to there. The syntactical, grammatical, or structural form peculiar to a language. Gentlemen, you need to speak child support Title 4D language under idiom. Okay, if you do not comprehend, and let me show you what it looks like. This is the glossary of common child support terms, gentlemen. If you do not know the words that are in this book, you're wasting your time. Okay, if you cannot translate what a directory, and I've told you what a directory is, look it up. If you can't state what a directory that comes to a non-custodial parent into layman's forms, you're wasting your time. If you are accepting a directory that is that targets a non-custodial parent, you are lost. Okay, let's continue. Let's go back down. All right, so 4D words of art. These, gentlemen, are the foremost words that you must comprehend. And I'm going to show you some more words. You got to comprehend these words, because if you don't know what an obligee and a custodial pay rent is, and an obligor and a non-custodial pay rent is, you're screwed. Okay? If you don't know who they're sending mail to, if you don't know who is identified, what is identified, okay, by a social security card and name and account number, you're screwed. Okay? You can do anything you want to do, gentlemen, without knowledge of Title 4D. You're not going to win. Okay? And this is why I'm telling you. So everybody who has emailed me and said, where do I start? You start here. You start learning the words. Okay? You notice I got some words highlighted. Title 4D, words of art. Obligee. Who's the obligee, gentlemen? The person. What is a person? A person is a corporation. Look, state. What is a state? A state is a corporation. It is an artificial person. A tribal agency. I'm not going to go heavy on tribal agency because I've never had a tribal agency case, but I can tell you it is basically not a person. All right, or other entity. What is an entity? What is the other entity? To which 4D is owed. Okay, who owes 4D? We'll get to that. Also referred to as the custodial pay rent. When the money, what is money, gentlemen? Money is coined in gold or silver. Is there any more money in this country? No, there is not. Okay? Custodial pay rent. Okay? Obligor and obligee and the custodial pay rent, same thing. All right? The person, what is a person? A person is not such because they are human. Who has primary care, custody, and control of a child. What is a child? A person who has not yet achieved the age of majority. Okay? Look at the word offspring. All right? Obligor, the person obligated. What is an obligation, folks? And if the Constitution says all men are by nature equal, free, and independent, and free means not subject to the legal restraint of another, having the power to follow the dictates of his own free will, And independent means not dependent, not subject to control, restriction, or modification from a given outside source. How does a man become obligated to pay? What are you going to pay with? Okay. If there's no money under House Joint Resolution 192, all right, and money is coined in gold or silver, what are you going to pay with? Nobody can ask you for anything except for silver and gold. That's against public policy. And we're going to take out child support, and we're going to put here Title 4D, all right, because we know that Title 4D was not intended to benefit the individual children, all right, so we know that's bullshit. So obligor, all right, the person, all right, a person is not such because they are human. A person is a firm or corporation or partnership obligated. Okay, it doesn't say the man, right? Not like the Constitution, not where it says all men are by nature equally free. It doesn't say that. It says the person. It switches up here. All right. Also referred to as the non-custodial pay rent. Non-custodial pay rent. The pay rent who does not have primary care. All right. When did you take your name from John of the family, though, to pay rent? Or control of a child and who may have an obligation. What is an obligation, gentlemen? If you're free, not subject to the legal constraint of another, how can you have an obligation? To pay. What are you going to pay in? All right. You're paying money. Money encompasses gold and silver. It does not encompass notes, Federal Reserve notes. Now, this is what they do. Public Law 104-193. Federal Personal Responsibility Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act, Section 304, rights to notification of hearing. The very first thing that the 4D corporation or the 4D franchise does to get jurisdiction is to send mail to a non-custodial pay rent. A non-custodial pay rent is properly identified by a Social Security card name and account number. A Social Security card name and account number is the property of the Social Security Administration. All right. So therefore, the Social Security card name and account number is the key piece of information to which the 4D franchise gets its authority. Okay, key means a description of property made certain. So the non-custodial pay rent is the property of the Social Security Administration. Okay, which is a federal corporation, and a federal corporation is what? Guess what? It's a foreign corporation in regards to the state. Okay? So, that being said, look at what this happens. They need a non-custodial pay rent. All right? 42 USC, was Title 42 of the United States Codes and Act and Depositive Law? No, this means this is done under color law. Provide for the establishment of procedures. What is the establishment of procedures? I'll show you that in a second. Okay? To require. Doesn't say maybe, to ask. It says require the state, which is the 4D agency in the state, to provide individuals who are parties to cases in which services are being provided. How does one become a party to a case in which service is being provided? That's default. They have to have, beyond a shadow of a doubt, they have to have it. They cannot succeed without it. They need a non-custodial pay rent. They need you to succeed to the status of non-custodial pay rent and become surety for the non-custodial pay rent. All right, by signing all the different contracts that are required to be signed by the non-custodial pay rent. All right, with a notice to proceeding. Let me ask you a question. When they send out a notice to proceeding, who are they sending that to? 42 USC 666 A3C. All right. Notice of the non-custodial pay rents, Social Security card name and account number shall be provided, all right, to the agency enforcing child support. They cannot proceed without you stating that unequivocally, yes, I'm the non-custodial pay rent. When you accept their mail, that mail, like I told you, if that mail ain't made to you and you accept it, then you send it back. Okay? So they're sending this to provide individuals. What is an individual? In proper cases, it includes an artificial person. Is a non-custodial pay rent a human being? No. It is a Social Security card name and account number. That is a franchise of the federal corporation called the United States, which is a corporation. So the non-custodial pay rent is a corporation. And that is the only thing that a state can deal with, because a corporation can only deal with a corporation. Let's move on. Okay? We're going to go down here. Look, 45 CFR, subsection 301.1. These are basic definitions. Department means the United States Department of Health and Human Services. That's who runs child support in this country, gentlemen. But you know what we're going to do? I'm going to stop here. Okay? If you have not mastered this information right here, this is the basic information. You're going to lose. All right? You have to learn how Title 4D uses words of art. When you utilize their words of art against them, when you master what is in the Glossary of Common Child Support Terms, when you master what is in the Federal Manual of Child Support Enforcement, when you master what is in the body of a directory that the 4D agency sends to the obligor, which you have no business opening, because if you're not the obligor, why would you be opening its mail? That is how the first form of jurisdiction that the 4D agency creates. All right, the obligor is a federal citizen. A citizen is a corporation that resides and is domiciled in the United States, which is the District of Columbia. I'm the Ahmed Osiris. I hope this answered your question. How do you conquer and how do you start the Title 4D? How do you master the Title 4D technique? You learn their words. That is first and foremost. Okay? I'm going to place a video on YouTube from the state of New Jersey. And the man who can decipher every word that is on this video, I will be more than happy. I will write anything that you want with free of charge. Okay? If you can master every word that's on this video. And gentlemen, this is a task. I am now tasking you with learning. Okay? This is how I defeated child support. This is how I defeat it now. I know what they're saying. If you don't know what Title 4D is conveying, all right, on paper and by words, and guess what? You're wasting your time. All right? You're going to lose. But if you know what they're saying and you respond in kind, they're going to start respecting you. And that way, when you know what they're saying and you take them to federal court, guess what? You can tear that shit down so bad that a federal district judge is going to have no choice. They're going to have to side with you. I'm the Ahmed Osiris. If you got a child support email or problem, email me at 4D, Roman numeral 4, letter D, underscore, destroyer at yahoo.com. That is 4D underscore destroyer at yahoo.com. If you wish to schedule an appointment, you will have to email me and we will set a date and time that you wish to speak. We will notify you of the rates and we will go from there. In the meantime, get them books open, gentlemen. Get your nose to the grind and start speaking their language. All right, and sending me an email saying you got a problem, I'm going to let you know because you don't speak their language. Hotep.